Without further ado, good afternoon, everybody. You're very welcome to what's the fifth of the current series of the LOETB webinars that have really been a huge success today. The feedback from the participants and the requests that the LOETB are getting for links to the videos of the previous sessions has been a phenomenal response altogether, and we're delighted to bring you now the fifth. And as I say, in this series, because the good news is, based on the feedback we've gotten, we're going to continue this series. So the plan is that maybe once a month for November, from November onwards, we will bring you, in the format that we have been doing, a keynote speaker plus a local case study on the kind of various topics and issues that are of prime importance to you as business owners and business people in the region. And people have really welcomed both the content from the keynote speakers, but also linking it then with a local case study really brings it home and shows people that, do you know what, we might be listening to people who are at the top of their field, but a lot of this stuff is so relevant to all our businesses and everything we do on a daily basis. A quick overview of what's going to happen today. Well, the series, as you know, is called Future Proof Your Business. And today we have two excellent speakers as well. We have Muriel Foley. She's the founder and managing director of MGFD, a digital marketing consultant and a specialist in the area. I'll do a more extended bio on our speakers a little bit later. And our case study today will be by Holly Breen, the CEO of Honest Roots. Again, sit back, enjoy what's coming. To kick off, as we have done in the past, for a couple of minutes, Aideen Poole is just going to give us a quick overview of some of the services that the LOETB offer. About 1:10 then, I'll invite Muriel to come on and do her speech. It'll be about 15-20 minutes. The Q&A function, as you'll know, is at the bottom of your screen. So I invite you to put any questions you have for the panelists into the Q&A function. I can then put questions towards Muriel at the end of her piece. At around 2:55 then, we'll have Holly to do her talk also. And again, questions can come in there. If time permits at the end then, if there's further questions, I can put them to both participants. So other than that, sit back, relax, enjoy, take plenty of notes and keep the questions coming in. So to begin, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker for today. Muriel has extensive experience in the digital marketing sector as well, both in Ireland and in Canada. During her time in Canada, she's worked as a paid social lead for a global agency where she developed paid social strategies for national and international clients in the retail, hospitality, food and beverage and auto industries. She's also held the position of digital director at a leading Irish marketing and communications agency, working with both SMEs and larger national brands also. She's a digital marketing lecturer at Cork Institute of Technology. She has an MA in Public Relations with New Media and is also Facebook Blueprint certified. Brands that she has worked with include Adidas, Coca-Cola, Diageo, Home Depot, Aldo, Jägermeister, Air Transit and General Motors. So without further ado, thank you so much, Muriel, for taking the time to talk to us today. I'll hand over to you.
Thank you so much, and hello everyone. I'm going to share my screen for this. I hope it works. I'm sure it will. So, okay. Oh, I think it's disabled for me. If somebody could enable, that would be great. Otherwise, you're just going to have to put up with looking at my face trying to describe what's on my slides.
You're a co-host there now, Mary, so you should be able to share. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Emil. Okay. All right. Let's get stuck in. And I'm sure you can use the chat box there as well for your questions that you might have. So today I'm going to cover how to measure success for digital and online. So as I was introed, there are just a few brands that I've worked with. Not going to go through it, won't bore you. So I'll go through the agenda for today. So I'm going to talk about the L word, Lockdown 2.0. I had to edit a few slides in the past few days because obviously things have kind of changed for businesses. So what I want for you to get from this session is to have a checklist for yourselves and have things that you can be focusing on for the next 6 weeks as well. So following that, we're going to talk about defining the metrics that actually should matter to you, and then understanding those metrics and how to track success from it. And then I'll give you some key takeaways and we'll have a quick chat about what's next as well for you and your business. So let's talk about the L word. Right, 2020 hasn't been the best year for Irish businesses, especially small businesses. So as we know, when history teachers are going to be teaching kids about 2020 in 30 years' time, it's going to be like an absolute car crash of a year. But what have we learned from it and how can we adapt? So let's have a look at, you know, how we defined success pre-pandemic. So most businesses pre-pandemic focused on growth, expansion, large databases, more. This defined success for those businesses. Quantity was king. More of everything, please. Now with lockdown 2 imminent, it's coming in at midnight tonight. I feel like I even heard like that siren from The Purge on the radio this morning, and it was really dramatic. But I think people feel like something bad is happening again. But we're going to turn that around, and we're going to focus on what success will mean for lockdown and following lockdown as small businesses. So survival. So there's a lovely phrase that I heard recently, and it was basically, instead of one person swimming ahead, let's all tread water together and get through this together. And I think it's a really good and poignant phrase for how we should all deal with everything right now. Collaboration is king, and supporting other small businesses and other SMEs, that's going to be king as well, supporting Irish businesses. Nurturing your existing customer or client base. So try not to focus too much on this quantity of, you know, I want to get more. It's more talking to those people who are already supporting you and who are there for you. So your existing client and customer base. And then another success for lockdown and post-lockdown is adapting to digital and rerouting your business to online. A lot of you have been successful in doing this in the first lockdown, and some of you are probably a bit more equipped now for the next 6 weeks. If not, then you have this opportunity to reroute to online, and that's going to help you to keep going as well. So let's look at defining the metrics that matter. So what metrics do you focus on? Do you focus on the likes that your posts get? How many people are following you? Is it a numbers game? Do you constantly refresh your feed, obsessing over numbers like these? These are the type of metrics that are called vanity metrics. They're metrics that don't really mean success. If somebody likes your post, does that mean that they're going to go and make a purchase? If somebody follows you, does that mean that they're going to go into your store or sign up to your database? No, it means that it's just a metric. So focusing on just those metrics is not good for business. It makes you kind of obsessed with those vanity metrics. As I said, they're not really tangible for your business. So what metrics should you focus on? I understand that there are some B2B clients and B2C clients and B2B businesses that are on this webinar right now, and you're trying to define what success means for you. So for B2C businesses, reach is going to be a big metric for you. So reach is basically the amount of people that see your content, or the amount of people that you reach on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. These are the people that are physically seeing what you're putting out there. So that is a better metric for you than a follower metric, because you could have 200 followers and you could actually reach 200,000 people. So it's a better, more qualified metric to look at, because you know that these people are definitely seeing your content. Then you have the obvious, sales. Sales is a metric that you want to focus on. Product page views and qualified traffic. So looking at just link clicks on its own, so people who go to your website on its own and just going, oh, there was 100,000 people on my website this year, I'm fine. But what happens then? Are they actually qualified traffic? Are they making transactions on your website? Are they signing up to your database? Are they actually taking time on your website to go through what you're about, or are they bouncing away and they're not qualified for your traffic? Then direct messages. Are people reaching out to you? Are you making yourself available and approachable as a business? And getting interactions, inquiries, and messages from people, that's another metric that you can focus on, because it means that you're opening the lines of inquiry for potential new customers and clients. And then another one that you should focus on is engaging your online community. So this, again, doesn't mean likes or followers. This means, are you asking them questions? Are they asking you questions? Are you interacting with them in the comment section? That is a really strong metric for you, because it shows that you are you're creating this conversation and people feel like they can talk back because they know you're going to respond. So then for B2B, reach, as I said, let's continue to focus on this for B2B. How many people are you reaching with your content? And then that qualified website traffic, similar to B2C. Are you actually looking at your analytics correctly? And are you looking at how people act on your website, and are they qualified? Are people downloading your white papers? Are you offering a demo download? Are people actually doing those? Can you edit anything on your website to make people, you know, download these or interact more with those particular things? And then lead generation. So developing your database of qualified leads. So remember, it's all about quality over quantity, and that's how you should be focusing on your metrics. So how do we do this? So let's just say now we're into our 6-week period. Some of you are going to be flat out working, and others are going to have that little bit of extra time to kind of get your ducks in a row. So how do we track success? What is the main thing that we can use that's a free tool? And that, my friends, is Google Analytics. I know that some of you on here, it's your best friend, and others, you look at it and you go, I have it, I think, I don't know. My website developer set it up years ago. I don't even know where to find it. When I log into it, there's too much information there, so I get scared and I log out. That's a typical answer by the majority of business owners, particularly those who are one-man bands or one-woman bands who are trying to juggle, you know, all of your business things, and then you're like, for sure, analytics, I don't have time for that. But analytics is your data. Analytics is how people react and interact with your business. You should be so curious and you should be so invested in what people are doing on your website at all times. So this doesn't mean that you need to know every single thing about Google Analytics. It just means that you need to know what you're looking for when you're in analytics. So one piece of advice is, if you are setting up an analytics account, when you go to analytics.google.com, you're prompted there to set up your account. And honestly, the step-by-step process is really, really well developed, that it takes you through all of that. And then if you have a WordPress site, a Shopify site, any website, they'll be integrated and set up so that all you have to do is just plug in the code that you get for Google Analytics. If that information that I just said is like, whoa, slow down, Google Analytics Academy is there for you. It's free. You can get a certificate at the end if you want, but it basically acts like a course where you go through it, you put in what you want to learn at the end, and it takes you through stages with video tutorials and all of that. So it doesn't take that long to go through it. You'll have it done in a few hours or even 2 hours or 1 hour, depending on how fast you go through it. But really, it just will give you that understanding of how to set it up and how to understand what's there. So it has those video tutorials. So even if you just Google the words, you know, Google Analytics Academy, and then it takes you through all of those. So if you want to become more familiar and you have that little bit of time during lockdown 2.0, then I would definitely recommend doing that particular course, and it's free. So a piece of advice: don't be intimidated by analytics, because it will soon become your bestie. It will become your best friend. You will absolutely learn to love your data. This is all you. You created a website, you created a business. These people went to your website and are now interacting with everything that you put on it. So of course you need to be invested in that, but you need to know how to find all of these things. So allow yourself to become familiar with the platform and what you need to be looking for when you log in. So the next couple of slides are a bit heavy, but they are going to help you navigate through your Google Analytics once you have it set up. So let's have a look at a bit of a checklist here. So here are the most important things you need to know about your website. So these are the kind of questions you can be asking yourself. Have a little checklist and tick them off as you go. So how many people visit my website and what is their experience on it? So remember, we're not looking at vanity. We're not saying, oh, great, all these visitors, fantastic, I'm out. It's more, right, what are they experiencing? So in that, you'll go to audience and then into overview. Next up, is my bounce rate or drop-off number affecting conversions? So bounce rate is when somebody goes to your website from a referring channel. So maybe you might have a link on your Instagram page to your website. And I go and I click on that link, and then I'm on your website for 3 or 5 seconds, and I'm gone back out again because it's not what I wanted or it's not what I was expecting. That's called when someone bounces out of your website, and that rate then is calculated based on the visitors that you have. So if you have a 50% bounce rate, that means that half of the people that go to your website leave it straight away. They're not getting what they need from it. So a lot of things that affect these could be loading time, or maybe the actual landing page itself is misleading to what they thought they were clicking on. So how to find how that's affecting it is you can filter your columns of data by bounce rate and then note the conversion numbers as well. So see if it has a direct correlation with that. So then what platform refers the most traffic to my website? So you could be running campaigns on Google Ads, you could be doing loads of social media activity on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, and you need to know, how is all of that performing? So when you go to acquisition, then you're going to go into what's called all traffic, and it gives you a rundown here. Now, there's 40 million things that you can do on analytics, but I'm giving you the ones that you really should be looking for if you have never used analytics before, or if you have analytics and you don't know what you're looking for. So let's continue. So are my campaigns actually performing well when they get to my website? And that's where you're going to go into acquisition and source and medium. And I'll explain why in the next slide. So that's basically going to tell you the exact source of that traffic. So if you're running multiple campaigns on Instagram or on Facebook, but you don't know which exact one is directing traffic to your site, then you can actually define the URL that you're leading them to, and then that's going to be tracked under source and medium. Did my sales increase this week? If so, why? If not, why not? So looking at conversions here and e-commerce will give you that information. What's the typical customer journey on my website? So using analytics, you can actually see what people do on your website through behavior tracking. So you can see they come here, then they go here, then they drop off. So all of that is under behavior and then behavior flow. Now you can set up goals with analytics. And that's basically saying my goal is that people download this white paper that's here on my website. My goal is that people add to cart. My goal is that people purchase. So you can set up all of these things, and then you can track to see have they been achieved and how. So under conversions and then goals. So those are the rundown of what you should be looking for when you're in your analytics. Another bit of technical talk, but I'm kind of easing back from it then after a while. But UTMs. So I say urchin, some people say urchin, I say urchin. So UTMs are called urchin tracking models. All they are is you have your URL of where you want people to go on your website, and you're popping that into your Facebook post. But what you can do is you can actually add labels to the end of your URL. And what they do is they basically refer back into analytics and tell you exactly what post you got that traffic from. So if you do 10 posts in a week on Facebook and they all have URLs leading to your website, you want to know what exact post brought the most traffic so you can do more of that. So what you do here is you set up a UTM. If you Google the word UTM builder, you'll find this platform here. You pop in your URL into the website URL section, and then under source, you put in the refer. So that could be Facebook. Then campaign medium, maybe it's that you're doing retail and maybe it's a specific jumper or jeans or new arrivals, whatever you want, and you can put it in here. You only have to put in the source, the medium, and the name. They're required, and the rest you can leave blank. But what that does is when you're in analytics, then you can actually see exactly what campaigns referred that traffic. So it's really, really useful, and it's a free tool, and it just adds things to the URL that you'll be using anyway. So one other thing for tracking is called a Facebook pixel. So some of you might have this already. If you're not sure, if maybe an agency is running your social, or maybe somebody may have set it up in the past, you can get a Google Chrome extension called Facebook Pixel Helper. And when that's added to your Google Chrome, then once you're on a website, you can tap on it and it shows you if you have a pixel or not. So that's a really helpful tool to have, and it will show you, it'll say you do or you don't. If you don't, then in your business manager, in Facebook, so if you go to business.facebook.com, you can create what's called a Facebook pixel. And this tracks the activity on your website, which allows you then to, if you're setting up any social campaigns, it allows you to then optimize for specific actions on your website. Again, lovely step-by-step guide when you select to create it. If you're running on Shopify, as you can see there, Squarespace, WordPress, all of those are linked with it. So it will basically be like, Muriel, step 1, download this. Now Muriel, step 2, do this. So it's really, really straightforward. And once that's on your website, you can track activity there, and then you can basically set up your campaigns to be optimized for conversion. So those are just things you can add to your homework list if you want for the next 6 weeks. If you have them set up already, brilliant. And if you want to check in on it, just use that Chrome extension. So now you can track activity and you can optimize for conversions. So you are setting yourself up for success, and you know what metrics to measure using your campaigns and using analytics. So one quick other thing about metrics and insights using social media, and I'm just going to pick Facebook and Instagram because time is even starting to go against me a little bit here, so I'm going to start rushing a little bit. So for Facebook, you all probably have a Facebook page. What do? Go into your insights in your Facebook page and pop on into all of these different metrics that it gives to you. But here's what you should be looking for. Who is actually following you? What does your demographic look like? When are they online? So when are they most active? What are your top performing posts by reach and action? So scrolling through your posts and seeing what's performing best. It shows you those metrics on the right hand side. What actions were taken on your page recently? Did people go to your website? Did people inquire? Did people interact with content? What did they do? And then how are your videos performing? If you are creating a lot of video content, look at how much of that video is being watched, because right now you're probably seeing views, but that just counts for 3-second views. So you need to go into the actual video metrics and see, are people watching to the end? Are they dropping off? And what can I do better? For Instagram, if you click on your insights section on your main profile page, in there you'll be able to see all of the metrics. And what are we going to avoid? We're going to avoid looking at likes. We're going to look at things that matter. Look at your profile visits, look at your reach, your saves, your shares. Those are really qualified metrics for you. And right now the algorithm is favoring any posts that are mostly shared or saved by people. So have a look at what people are saving and sharing and continue to do more of that. Website taps as well. How many people are going to your website from your specific post? So it'll filter your posts by these particular metrics, and you can change the timeline period, as you can see on the right hand side. So it filters all of your posts that you've done, and it's really helpful for you for what content you should be creating from now on. So do some analytics and do some of this insights work over the next few weeks as well. So your action list. Here are your takeaways to future-proof your campaigns. So define your success metrics. So as we saw at the start, are you B2B or B2C, and what metrics are going to matter most to you? Analyze where you are now. If you do have analytics, go in and use that checklist and have a look at where you're at now and take note of it. Set up tracking then on your website if you don't, and become familiar with analytics and start to love your data. Remember, this belongs to you. So you need to know how you are performing and how people are interacting with your website. So what's next? What else can you do? Take the next 6 weeks to win online. If you haven't really put a lot of effort into your online, now is the time to, we kind of have a second chance now to get all of our stuff together that we may not have gotten together in, say, the first lockdown. So maybe take a bit of time to do this if possible. Don't get digital overwhelm. So this happens with a lot of people, and I know I'm kind of sitting, I literally have one more slide left because I can see Ronan coming on being like, come on. So basically, don't get digital overwhelm. It happens to everyone. You're like, should I be on TikTok? Should I be on Twitter? Like, oh, you're saying all these things to me, Muriel, and now I feel overwhelmed. Don't. Try to master your niche. If you're really good at Instagram, stick with Instagram. If you're really good at Facebook, stick with Facebook. If you're good at both, fantastic, do both. But don't look around at what everybody else is doing and feel like I should be doing that and I need to become the master of that. Just master your own niche. Even start a bit of market research over the next 6 weeks. Can you create a survey? Can you ask people for feedback? Use this time to develop a new strategy for yourself and listen to your customers. And finally, what you can be focusing on as well is gift guides, support small, support local, support everybody around you. Start funneling your audiences. So if you have, some new people who are making inquiries, nurture that relationship with them and funnel them so that they become loyal customers. Don't forget the people are at home on their phones, and even over Christmas, people are at home on their phones. Don't forget that time of year. Upsell and cross-sell if possible. So if somebody's bought a particular product or item, feel free to, upsell to be like, I saw that you bought this goes so well with this and it would look lovely on you, or however you feel that's best. But do it as a soft sell as opposed to a hard sell. So there you go. That's all from me. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Muriel Foley. Follow me on Instagram, Muriel Foley MGFD, or pop on my website, mgfd.ie. So I will stop sharing my screen now, and there you go.
Oh, well done, Muriel. That was fascinating. And I can imagine for a lot of people, we hear so much terminology and it's kind of like, whoa, and it does almost sound like it's overwhelming. But is it important to kind of remember that all this stuff, all those analytics, all those tools, they're inbuilt in the platforms people are using. So it's effectively like having a car, but not using the aircon. Is that fair to say? Like, should we all just sit down and actually look at what these platforms can do for our businesses?
Oh, definitely, because we take so much time to create content and put content out there, but then not looking at how it actually performed and, you know, what people took from it. And I think that it just seems like a little bit of a waste. It's like an explosion happening behind you and you're just strolling away and it's like, oh, it's fine, I'm going to ignore that. So it's more like just understand that it is your data and it's all happening as a result of what you created. So you should invest in looking at how it's performing.
Yeah, and it might help you then identify those niches that you've kind of touched on, that content that people are actually interested in, and it's bringing them to your website or indeed your e-commerce site.
Exactly. So you'll be able to see if you are taking time to create content that might not be working for you and then dismissing content that's actually performing well, then, you know, that's a learning for you.
For a lot of SMEs and indeed micro businesses, what's the kind of point? Because I suppose a lot of people would probably say that they're spending, you know, most of the day doing the actual job. So social media posting maybe becomes a thing that to do in the evenings or weekends or whenever we get a chance. At what point, like, yes, social media is there. So you could be just a one person business and it could be your platform, your route to all your customers. But say for a business of maybe 5 to 10 people, at what point do businesses start looking at maybe having it as a dedicated function, be that outsourced or having somebody in-house to do it? Like, what's the kind of the break-even point for an average SME?
So I totally get that. And it happens to a lot of businesses where they set up all these social channels, they do so well for their first few weeks, and then they get busy. And then it's like, oh, oops, I haven't posted in a few weeks. Oops, I haven't posted in a few months. And then it becomes intimidating to get back to it again. So I definitely think that if you are getting value from your social media posts, like if you're getting people inquiring, if you're getting website traffic, you need to make it a priority. So whether that's bringing it in-house and upskilling somebody in-house who might have the time to take it on, or getting extra help, there's a lot of amazingly talented freelancers right now. There's agencies, there's a lot of support out there for businesses. So, you know, even shop around, have a look, see what other people are doing. Can they help you with that? But it's basically just about planning ahead, you know, taking that bit of time. It's like meal prepping. If you're prepared the week in advance, the month in advance for the week or month ahead, and you have things planned and scheduled, that takes a lot of pressure off you. So you're not reactively posting, you're being proactive. So either if you have time to pre-plan, so, you know, meal prep those posts. If not, then have a look at maybe outsourcing just a couple of hours a week to help you with your socials.
Yes, I suppose if you're going to pre-plan your posting as well, if you can have an idea then what your successful posts are, what content works, then you're kind of on the pig's back, I'd say.
Exactly.
Question from one participant: would you recommend paid promotions on things like Facebook or Instagram?
Yes, I'm definitely one of those people that are like, create your campaigns on Facebook and Instagram. It's a really good way to reach new potential customers and target your content to who you want as a customer or client. But what I would say is stay away from the boost button, stay away from the promote button. What they do is they're basically telling Facebook and Instagram to find people who hit the like button or double tap content but don't actually interact or take action. So you're better off actually creating campaigns using the ads manager feature in Business Manager and saying, I actually want to generate leads from this post. And what it does is it gathers the email addresses for you. So it's not saying, I want people to like this. It's saying, I want people to sign up. So doing campaigns, it's much more efficient than actually boosting the post.
And of course, question, and usually somebody will always put this question as well, if it comes to maybe negative comments or negative feedback online, how important is it to deal with it, and how might people go about dealing with that? Because look, that's assuming it may not even be a genuine thing. It could be just somebody having a rant. How do you go about dealing with that online?
Okay, so if it's genuinely somebody who is just being a troll and saying horrible things, I would block them and I would report them, because that sort of activity should not be allowed online, and it shouldn't be there, and you're well within your rights to delete that comment, to block that person, and to report them for abuse online. If it's a negative comment about your product or your service, it's better to take it off of the actual channel itself. So if you say, look, are sorry to hear that, or we'd like to hear more about this, please send us an email or send us a direct message so we can talk to you about this in private. Or, say like, we want to hear more, so please give us more information via direct message. And that way, at least you're acknowledging the comment, you're acknowledging this, whatever, they're upset about something, but you're taking them off the platform. Because what you want is, you don't want to be like, tell us more, and then they give more information. Or if you're too nice, then they get fueled up and they're like, nope, that's not what I mean. Oh, you don't know anything. And then it's just a fire that you're just throwing petrol on. So take them offline, deal with it privately, and at least people who are looking at those comments will see that you've acknowledged it as a business.
Yeah, that's so important as well. Question in from one participant as well. What platforms would you recommend for B2B?
So B2B, depending on your market, I would say LinkedIn is brilliant for lead generation and growing your network with other businesses. Depending as well on who your market is. Like, people tend to discount Facebook and Instagram because they're like, they're not professional networks. But I mean, everybody is a human being. So, the owner of companies, the CEO of something, is on Facebook and Instagram too. So it just depends on how you frame your message on those channels. But Twitter is very good for physically reaching out to people and mentioning them in tweets. LinkedIn, you can connect with people, you can find them, you can source them that way. And then Facebook and Instagram can be more brand building channels for you.
And then when it comes to all this posting as well, are there any particular scheduling tools that you'd recommend for use across multiple platforms?
Yeah, so Hootsuite works well. Later.com works well if you're a very Instagram focused business. But they will turn into paid tools. Like, you can only do so much with the unpaid features. The good thing about Facebook and Instagram right now is that they've created Facebook Business Suite, which is an app you can get on your phone. You can also use it on your desktop. That allows you to schedule both Facebook and Instagram posts together. And it also, you can use Creator Studio on your desktop app through your Facebook page. That again allows you to schedule content on both channels for free.
Brilliant. Muriel, thank you so much. And if anybody has any further questions for Muriel, feel free, pop them into the Q&A there, and we can put them to both Muriel and to Holly at the end of the webinar. Thank you again. So our next speaker is Holly Breen, a CEO of Honest Roots and Walk. Holly successfully ran her own shoe store in County Cork, launched online, exported worldwide, and went on to sell this business. Holly has recently launched and sold another e-commerce business with great success, and will fill us in on all the trials and tribulations of venturing online and embracing digital technologies. Holly, over to you.
Thanks, Ronan. Just want to say, Muriel, well done. That was a really good presentation, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, so public speaking is not my thing, and I kind of wish I'd gone first because my palms are quite sweaty. But I'm Holly. I was the founder of Walk Shoes. Myself and my partner set it up in Cork City in 2009 in the depths of the first recession. So we started with one brand with an idea as a pop-up shop to kind of figure out what we wanted to do with our lives. We were just home from 2 years traveling in Australia. We hit the ground running. We were really surprised by the reaction, and customers loved what we were doing. So we quickly grew to 20-25 brands, trading growing 20 to 25% each year, and loved it. Loved standing on the floor, talking to customers and selling. We quickly started to notice, though, that behaviours in customers were changing. A lot of people were coming in, browsing, trying on, not necessarily buying and going online to buy them. So we started our online journey. Now, it was a big learning curve, a couple of really big mistakes along the way. But eventually, after the 9 years, we grew that to 35% of our business. It was a 7-figure turnover. And we had warehouses throughout Europe. We were exporting to Europe, particularly Scandinavia, Germany, Italy, France, and the USA. We won competitions, got websites built. We paid 10,000, I think, twice for 2 websites. They never did what they said. One of them wouldn't even send a notification to customers to say that they'd purchased the shoes on the website. It was an absolute headache. We tried everything that people were telling us to do, and it just wasn't working. So one day I had enough. I said I was going to move into a co-working space and I was going to crack online myself. So I spent 6 months with a friend of mine who was in college at the time, in this co-working space, just testing every platform. So we had an electronic point of sale, which most of you B2C will have. So we wanted that to connect seamlessly to a website, and we wanted all of the apps and all of the features ready. So we tested, and finally came down to Shopify and Trims. The two of them connected perfectly, and we launched the new website on a Black Friday, and it was great. We had more sales in that weekend than we had in the previous 2 years of online sales. I was supposed to be off Saturday, Sunday, and we came in and we had hundreds of orders to pack by the Monday. It was insane. So I actually never went back to the shop. My full-time job became online, the website, and implementing digital marketing and strategy. I exited that business just over 2.5 years ago, bought a house in Birr, County Offaly, where I'm from, and moved home. It was quite a sudden exit. We weren't expecting it. We were putting in an exit strategy, but got an offer out of the blue in the November, and we were gone by the January. So retail's hard. There's a couple of hundred SKUs. So I knew I wanted to do something a little bit simpler, one product, one SKU that never changed per season. So I've been researching food supplements. I'm really into what you put into your body is what you get out. So I launched a brand called Honest Roots. It was an English website, honestroots.co.uk. We sold organic and black pepper turmeric supplements. And this went really well. We started in the March. By Black Friday of that year, we did 20,000 in the weekend, and we did, I think, 65 for the month. Like, we used performance-based marketing techniques, all, as Muriel said, on the business side of Facebook and Instagram Manager, hiring professionals to do that. We built a 4-stage funnel, mostly using videos, customer testimonials, etc., and we would push the people down through our funnel and get a really good return on ad spend. So we used to get like a 3 return on ad spend. So for every euro, we made €3. After 12 months, I came across Empire Flippers, which is actually a website that sells websites. And I was surprised with how much the website was worth. So we listed the website. You had to be a year old, so I waited to the day, listed the website, and within 3 days, we had a buyer. It took 6 weeks to transfer and hand over, and we sold the business. It was great. I took a couple of months off, went traveling, and then for the last 12 months, I've been working on a custom formulation for an ingestible beauty product. This time we want a carbon neutral company. We want to use biodegradable packaging, organic and sustainable ingredients, and to be as eco-friendly as we can while being scientifically proven to boost skin and collagen formation. So it's a big job at the moment. We are on an accelerator course, and we are at the stage of custom formulation and hope to kind of have branding started and the product up and running in the new year. Tips and advice I'd give to people, particularly on B2C and retail and customer focused. Educate yourself. No one can do it for you. There are numerous people out there that are experts, etc., and they're quite happy to get paid every month, but you might necessarily see the results you want to do. You need to know the lingo, you need to do the courses, have a look at the Offaly Education Training Board and see if the digital marketing courses. You need to understand your KPIs, your metrics, your average order value, your bounce rate, etc. Second, if you're doing e-commerce, use Shopify. I have tested every marketplace out there and back end for a website, and Shopify just comes up trump every single time. And do not pay more than a couple of €1,000 for a website. Anything above €5,000, I would not recommend it. Ideally, 1 to 2, test it, develop it, do A/B testing, figure out what pages are working, what pages aren't working, and move on. But just keep it simple, and strip back and pare it back. Don't go for the big expensive website first time around. And then the third point I would give is that understand it is a full-time job. Running a retail store or any business takes 40, 50, 60 hours a week. It takes your full time, your full attention, and you need to put the same amount of time and effort into e-commerce, online and social media. So either it's a dedicated person or you split your week half, 20%, 50% in one area and 50% in other. But really don't take on e-commerce and all this social media marketing, etc., unless you're really determined to get the online up and running, because sometimes you just have too much stuff on and it detracts from your bricks and mortar store or your current customers. That, like, if you want to do it, just focus on it, really understand it, and drive it as hard as you can and as quick as you can using performance-based marketing techniques and an expert.
Brilliant. Thanks, Holly. You have got through a lot there in those few minutes as well.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's brilliant. And not surprisingly, the first question that's come in from a participant is around funding. And I'd like to know, have you self-funded to date, or have you any advice maybe on getting funding for, I suppose, when you're taking a business like yours and bringing it online and launching a new business?
So far, we've bootstrapped and self-funded everything. We are in the accelerator at the moment, and with this new business, we're possibly looking for an investor to come on board so we can scale it bigger and faster than ever before. We want to go to the US.
Fantastic. You mentioned lots of things there as well about the companies as well. Even the point about the website, telling people not to go spending too big too quick. Is it a trap that people still fall into, maybe putting a lot of investment into a website and then that age-old thing of just letting it sit then and not using it, not utilizing it?
Yes, exactly. People realize how much work it is. Maybe there's a few tweaks. The conversion rate is not high. They've spent so much money on it already. You just get terrified, you get bogged down, and you're really afraid to go again. It took me my third, possibly fourth attempt to get the website right. So just keep trying, do it on a budget. Shopify is great because there's free templates. You can pay up to $250, I think, is the most expensive template on Shopify. It's really user-friendly, basic, and they have tutorials, and their customer service will help you. So I think anyone with a basic level of computer should be able to build an e-commerce store themselves using Shopify.
And how do people go about getting started on Shopify then? There's a question there from a participant.
Yeah, so just go onto the Shopify homepage and you just log in. They'll buy your domain name and everything for you and connect it all. So it's like just signing up to a regular account. You go in, there's your back end, then you go in and you can buy themes. So you go into the themes, you can download a free theme or a non-free theme, and literally that's your website all made and done. You just have to upload your products, your about us, your descriptions, your text, etc. So it's really easy. It's a little bit more tricky if you have a couple of hundred SKUs. And in retail and fashion, like you have 500 products with 6 or 7 sizes, and you have an electronic point of sale in your store. But a lot of, if it's a good EPOS system that you're using, they should have a third-party API, which will automatically sync to Shopify.
Someone has asked, what was the name of the site you went on to sell Honest Roots?
It was honestroots.co.uk. So we still own the limited company, but we sold all of the assets, the website, and the business.
Another person says, any advice on pivoting the business?
Yes, and I'm learning a lot about this at the moment. Listen to your customers. So questionnaires, really understanding your customer profile. What are their pains? What are their gains? How your USP? How are you improving that? How are you positioning yourself that you are stronger than your competition out there and have a unique selling point? So I'm working on that currently for the new brand. That sounds easy, but to sum up your business and how you beat your competitors in 3 sentences is extremely difficult.
Irish people love that, being asked for an elevator pitch or to sum up your business in 1 or 2 sentences. Most people balk at it, but it's so important as well. And an interesting thing you mentioned there towards the end of your talk, and it really ties in with what Muriel was talking about, around that idea of having the focus. Like, as you said, you've just touched on it there as well. Like, it's so busy running any business, particularly in retail or whatever, and it can take a huge amount of hours every week. So creating the time and having that focus, given what we've experienced in the last 7 months, and it's bringing so many businesses digital, bringing them online as well. Have we finally seen that huge shift in how business is done? And are people now kind of copying on that maybe to start retail, actually the bricks and mortar is possibly the last thing that might come? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, there's benefits to bricks and mortar store, definitely. But yes, I think it's a lower setup cost to have your own website and to test different brands, different products, different everything without necessarily paying rates, rent, overhead, staff, PAYE, pure SI, and everything that goes with a bricks and mortar store. Definitely, I think brands that develop both bricks and mortar and online have a bigger brand exposure, particularly if you're into the multi-store units. But yeah, look, you can really start small with a relatively small amount of money online. And yeah, I think it's the way of the future. I'd agree with you there.
Yeah, interesting. Can Shopify be used just for the cart function, and is it expensive to use?
Their basic package is €29 a month. No, it's really easy, but no, they don't have a separate cart function. Like if you're using Magento, etc., they have people that can convert your Magento website into Shopify, and you can export all your data and just pop it up in Shopify. But Shopify has a built-in customer management system. It gives great notifications. Just the whole customer service and customer engagement side is fantastic. So just switch, cheaply switch.
Perfect. And a final question for you as well. Have you any advice on how to break into new markets as a newbie?
I would focus on a market and do it right. I would have said the UK, but with Brexit coming down the line, no one really understands where we're going to be in January or February and what the tariffs are going to be. The Irish market can be quite small for e-commerce, but pick one market, preferably English speaking, unless you're bilingual, and really target that. Don't try to do 4, 5, 6 marketplaces in one go. Amazon's also a great tool for testing different marketplaces and the reaction to your product.
Brilliant. Thank you. And just to reiterate, one of our participants has posted a message there saying thank you all for your expert advice so far. If I can get Holly and Muriel just to hang on for a minute. If you have any final questions, just pop them into the chat. We'll have a couple of minutes at the end there just to put them to our panelists. Before that, Aideen Poole is just going to pop on and give us just a quick overview of some of the services that the LOETB are currently offering. Thanks, Aideen.
Perfect. Thanks, Ronan. And I just want to say huge thanks to both Holly and Muriel. It was really, really good. And I was hooked myself, so it was really good and really insightful. I won't kind of keep everyone too long, but just to touch on, I suppose, our services from the ETB, we are an enterprise engagement team. So at the core of everything we do is to support enterprises. And I know a lot of the things that Holly and Muriel that have discussed, it might seem a bit frightening, it might seem scary. We're in a really uncertain times and it's difficult to kind of navigate where it's going to go. So from the ETB's perspective, we want to do everything we can to support you. And I suppose that was kind of at the core of organising these webinars. So the webinars have been running for the last 5 weeks, titled Future-Proof Your Business. We hope to stay running them, maybe not every week, but definitely going forward, as Ronan said, every couple of weeks. We do want, I suppose, businesses to get the most out of them. To those that have been here every week with us, we want to say thanks for joining, and we hope you have a few takeaways. But if there are people online today that haven't seen the rest of them, they're on our website. They're also on our Facebook page. You can access them there. If not, you can just give me an email and I'll send them out myself. But I suppose just to touch on Muriel and Holly, they both had really good tips, I suppose. And Muriel kind of said how to master your own niche and how important that is. And Holly said as well how to educating yourself is really important. So from the ETB's perspective, if there's anything we can do to help you along the way, we're absolutely there to do so. Digital marketing is a program we run through Skills to Advance, but also something in the pipeline is an introduction to social media. So that might really complement and help what the girls are giving tips today on. So if that was something that you think would be useful to you, feel free to contact us. But then I suppose other programs they range from all sorts. We do a kind of work from hospitality to construction across the board, but we run them through 3 different pillars, I suppose. We have kind of traineeships, which are longer term programs that kind of focus on occupational skills. We also have apprenticeships, which have a long established history and have been successfully helping enterprises for youngs. So we've continued to run them. Apprenticeships are now kind of expanding into new areas in ICT, and there is more options there as well. And then we also run a Skills to Advance initiative, which is really focused on the reskilling and upskilling of employees in the workplace through shorter, snappier programs, and kind of bearing in mind that the employer is going to probably be releasing employees to partake in the initiative. So we are flexible in how we run them. So they're just 3 of the way we run our programs. We can pop up our contact details at the end just so you have them. But definitely in these uncertain times, we want to help you as much as possible. And if programs, I suppose, that complement today's webinar would be the digital marketing, introduction to social media, but you might see a need yourselves, and you can feel free to contact us, any of us from the ETB, and we can try and accommodate you. So thanks everyone, and Ron, I'll pass back over to you. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask them in the chat box now.
Of course, and thanks a million, Aideen, and it's great to see the LOETB being responsive as well to the change in needs of businesses there too. A couple of comments, and thank you to everybody who's put up such great comments there as well. If you like, thank you all, great webinar. Padraig Boland has said, Holly, that did you ever think of lecturing or mentoring that you could probably charge by the second? So that's high praise indeed. You can take him up on that offer. I'd say that would be the right thing. I don't see any further questions coming in, so I mean, if anybody wants to put a final word in, you can. If maybe before we go, like Muriel, just to reiterate those kind of couple of key things to really start looking at now for your business.
Ooh, I just want me to myself. Yeah, so look, as I said, take this time. If you have a bit of time over the next 6 weeks to focus on just really thinking about what matters to your business, what actually, is the metric that you want to focus on, and who do you want to talk to, and what are people doing with your content and on your website. So take your time. Don't get this overwhelmed that happens to a lot of people, which turns them completely off looking at anything, and focus on, the metrics that you want to focus on. Stay in your own lane, master your niche, and be kind to yourself as well. Like, self-care is important during this time as well. So
I think absolutely, especially given the 6 weeks or whatever it might be, 6 months that we're all facing into. Holly, maybe same idea to yourself, for people, maybe just, bits of advice, things we could start doing as of now, just to keep the momentum behind our business or our ideas.
I think really analyze your core business. The business canvas model is a really great place to start. It's like a 20-page business plan in a 1 A4 page, and really take the time to figure out who your customers are, what channels you want to communicate to them on, how do you want to sell to them, and what is your unique selling point, etc., and to really home in on what you want to do and where you want to go and what you want to achieve, and start putting that in step by step.
Brilliant. And team your content and all to suit and that kind of thing. Listen, Holly, Breen and Muriel Foley, it's been a pleasure. We can see by the comments there in the feedback section, people have really enjoyed it. They found it so informative. They've got great tips and advice as well. And I suppose without further ado, just thank you so much. And that's it. It's bringing to the end this series of webinars. It's hard to believe we've had 5 already. The good news is it looks like we will continue as well, maybe space them out to 1 a month. Because the feedback each week, we're gaining more and more attendees at it, which really is testament to the work that the team at the LOETB have put in. Timing has been perfect. The content has really fit in with what businesses are going through at the minute, and I think it does no harm for people to get out and just hear what other businesses are doing and how they're going about sustaining and growing their businesses at these times. So thank you all for joining in again. Many of you have been with us for the 5 weeks so far. Keep an eye out on loetb.ie for details of the upcoming series as well, and no doubt the team will keep you informed. Thank you all again for your participation, and to all our speakers over the past 5 weeks. It's been a value to you. I know that by the feedback they're getting as well. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day, and hope to see you all sometime in November. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.